Hey guys, I'm Katie from Mitza Creek Farm, and I figured it's a nice rainy day. Those are few and far between for us this year, and since I'm kind of caught up on a lot of things, it'd be a perfect day to give a garden tour. Hopefully you can hear me over Sydney's ducks. They are so loud. So I'm here in our front yard. I showed you guys this perennial garden I built this year. Over on the front of the house, I did extend that. Our problem is keeping the dogs out of there, so I have like all these barricades up, but it seems to be doing really well. We are harvesting kale and lettuce, and we've even been harvesting a few tomatoes out of here, and basil too. And so this is coming along great. Between the dogs and the ducks, this is not in the best shape, but things are holding out really well for as stressed as this season has been for plants. So I'm pretty happy with what is going on. We are working on a solution. We're actually going to take the duck fence, because the duck fence is around the pond there. We're actually going to take it and put it around this flower bed, and then that way the ducks can get out and run around more and have more areas. You can see the sheep fence up. See, there's the dogs. You can see the sheep fence up there. So it's pretty predator proof in this area. It just is a matter of keeping them out of this area. Okay, so since we got that done, it's starting to rain a little bit again. We have gotten a ½ inch so far today, so that is wonderful. But let's go down. I'm going to try to show you the pumpkin patch really quick if it's not raining too hard, and then we'll head into the high tunnel. So down here at the pumpkin patch stone coop high tunnel, we have had a lot of exciting things going on. First, we got all of our hay for the year, which is absolutely wonderful. For 4 cow-calf pairs, a bull, horse, donkey, our flock of sheep, and goats. We have 36 round bales, and we're continuing feeding our leftovers from last year throughout the summer, and then we got 350-ish square bales. We might end up having to get some more square bales, but we need to use up what we have so that we have room for next year. And then over here is the stone coop and the pumpkin patch. And very exciting news today, we had a new floor poured in the stone coop. So they were here bright and early this morning repairing the old floor. Parts of it were taken out and everything, and a new floor put in, and it looks wonderful. So I should be able to get in here now and start working on the walls. I have to finish from there up, and then take down some of the old yucky stuff there, and then start putting lights in. But this, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this. It has been so hard to find somebody to do the concrete for this. There were some bigger holes or cracks or whatever in the floor from there. It was like well over 100 years old. And so the concrete person was like, well, yeah, it definitely lived its life. And it was really hard to find somebody. And here it turns out the person who we found that was reliable showed up, gave us an estimate, showed up to do it, was somebody that we knew that I didn't even know did concrete. So that worked out really well. So then over here is the beautiful pumpkin patch. You guys, this is absolutely amazing. I think this is our best year for pumpkins so far yet. Definitely helped having the drip tape in right away with these guys, and they are doing wonderful. There are some of these that definitely are a little bit longer vining than I anticipated. But for the most part, a lot of them are bush pumpkins, which is why we've been able to space them closer together towards the back. And then over in that area, you'll see there's a lot more black landscaping fabric. That's because they are spaced further apart because they are going to have longer vines. We do have up by the house, behind the house, we do have another pumpkin patch for the carvers that have the long vines, and those guys are doing pretty well. I probably won't bring you up there because it is raining out. But this, guys, I'm so happy with this. You can see in here that everything is blossoming wonderfully, and they're looking exactly how they should. I do try to walk in there as much as possible before it gets too thick to walk in there. And we do have pumpkins started. They are looking great. They're being pollinated. It's everything I could ask for. Now you might notice that we have this bunting banner around the perimeter just to keep deer, bear, raccoon away. Hopefully that will keep everything kind of startled and far away until we can get electric fence hooked up down here. I didn't want to get the electric fence hooked up down here till we were done with this because I wasn't sure where they were going with it, and where, you know, I figured everybody would have to be up here in this area, and I want to have the electric fence come all the way around the whole thing and go around my apple trees that are down there. So we've just been kind of putting it off until the stone coop could get poured, and now we can start putting in T-posts and that kind of stuff for the electric fence. So here in front of the high tunnel, I still have a whole bunch of hydrangeas that I'm plugging away at planting, just trying to find the time to do it. I know where I am doing them all between the heat and work and 3 kids and everything going on in the high tunnel. It has taken a back burner, and they're looking pretty stressed. But it is what it is. That's not a priority. It just is to look pretty. So that's that. Lily's mums, we still have them all pretty close together. Tomorrow is the day that we are hooking up all the new irrigation and getting those all evenly spaced and putting them out. It has been, with it being so hot, it has been hard to find the time to work out here in the heat doing this. So it has just taken a lot longer than we wanted it to, but we did get everything working. And so she just hooks the fertilizer up to a certain hose and then waters them all that way instead of the drip irrigation. Right now it's working fine, and it is what it is. So let's go in the high tunnel now. Okay. My glasses are fogged up. I'm sure this looks very different than what you guys saw last time. I don't even remember, it was about a month ago that I did a garden tour in here. And right now our focus is harvesting peas, and we're starting to harvest zucchini every few days, and trellising and pruning tomatoes. That is taking all of my spare time right now. We had mid-90s the last 3 days, and I bet that I spent 2 hours a day down here pruning suckers off. I'd come down the next day, and the suckers that I could have sworn I just pruned off were like twice the size, and I just can't keep up. So tomorrow my parents are coming out to help me prune again. They did come out a few days ago and helped me pick peas and get some stuff weeded in here so that it wasn't so overwhelming to me, because when there's this many things to do in here, it does get very overwhelming. We are still picking lots of peas off. Some of the plants are starting to look a little iffy. They have had lots of heat in here. It's been like a week in the 90s, and then it'll drop to 60 as the high, and at night it'll be, 40 maybe. So they appreciate the cool, but they do not appreciate the heat. And so, but they're doing so much better than anyone would expect with all of the heat that we've had. And especially being in a high tunnel in the heat, they're doing amazing. I am really happy with them. Here you can see we changed the trellising for the cucumbers. So our cucumbers and then our mini cantaloupe are over here, and they are doing wonderful. We've already harvested a couple cucumbers off of them. They're doing great. Couldn't ask for a better crop so far. I did film me harvesting my first cucumber the other day, so I'll include that right here. And it looks like we have our first pickling cucumber ready. I'm gonna give that one another day or two, let it grow a little bit. But this is supposed to be a pickling cucumber and a like slicer cucumber, you know, just a smaller one or a good one to eat off the vine. And so I'll slice this up with supper, throw it in a salad. Here. But you can see we definitely have lots of cucumbers in here and lots of cucumbers that are growing. And then down here is that cantaloupe that I found. Oh, this guy needs to be, I need to somehow get these off the ground a little more, because it looks like this guy might be getting some sort of blight. But you can see a little cantaloupe right there. I saw one in there. There's one. This cantaloupe has so many different branches and tendrils that I think I'm going to come in and prune off now that we found which are the main stems on it. And I'm going to come in and prune a lot of these off. But I think I'm going to do that when my parents come down to help sometime in the next few days, because then that way I can start and I can do all the cucumbers at the same time and then get this guy trellised even better. So down a little bit from that, we have beans galore. You can see beans going all the way back. These peas here are just starting to blossom. Man, aren't those blossoms pretty? Now these are just a bush bean. I don't remember what variety, but they are a lot taller than I remember them being last year. And maybe it's because this area was tilled really well and we mixed in compost. Maybe it's the variety, I don't know. But these guys are looking awesome. I'm really happy with them. I did come through last week and plant some Chinese noodle beans in between each one. You can see there and there, and then like right there and there. Anywhere there was a large gap between the rows, I planted some Chinese noodle beans, and then I will take and trellis them right up to the wire above my head. And my theory on that is that once the bush beans are done and harvested, then the Chinese noodle beans will start being ready or start really taking off. And so then I can pull out all of the bush beans, because those are essentially, I heard somebody recently call them like a determinate type of bean. So there's only a determined number per plant, where the pole beans are kind of like an indeterminate tomato, where as long as you take care of them and keep harvesting and everything, then they will continue producing until it gets too cold for them to produce. So next year I think I'm gonna flip-flop that, but I did not learn that until this year, and beans were not my priority. So next year I'm gonna get I might not even do bush beans next year. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge then. Anyways, they are doing amazing. These are telephone peas, and they are, some of them are starting to die because it gets too hot in here, but they definitely are producing lots. And then over here we have tons of zucchini. We're I think we've already harvested like 6 zucchini now. Carrots are doing amazing. We got those weeded the other day. Now on to the tomatoes. These are gonna be the death of me this year, I think. I picked some amazing producing varieties, and I can't keep up. Let me show you what we're dealing with, and then what the plan is for these guys, because there are so many. Okay, so these guys here are the early of the Amish Paste, and they're just kind of everywhere on all these plants. The hard part is just keeping up with trellising. Like, I need to trellis this guy a little better, and then keeping up with pruning. But like, it is absolutely crazy that these guys are producing so well. Pretty happy with them here. So then the Brandywine are next, and those are the potato leaf ones, and they are doing awesome. That guy is a cat-faced one, and he's massive. We've got some smaller ones in here. These do seem to be the slower growing of everything that we have, but you can see we're not hurting for tomatoes at all on these guys. The Brandywine have kind of taken the back seat because they don't grow nearly as fast as the other ones, and they can kind of support themselves because their stalk is a lot thicker, but they're doing wonderful. And these are just a basic red Brandywine. I'm really happy with them. So this is that cat-faced one, and that's pretty big. I mean, it's bigger than a baseball, probably about the size of a softball, but it is cat-faced, so the bottom is kind of crazy, like they usually are with these kind. Here's a nice sized one so far. Go on over here, and this is kind of about the size of that big cat-faced one, but it is not cat-faced. This one's gonna taste amazing, I just know it. This is one that I am keeping an eye on. So these ones here are red beauties, and they are definitely purple, and they'll be turning, the green will be turning red. And they are supposed to be like the size of a Brandywine or a beefsteak. They're like a smaller beefsteak, and they're doing pretty well. This guy here, I've had concerns about, and I felt like I should have pulled him in the beginning, and I didn't. And he seems to be doing okay. I just don't like the shape of these leaves. But since it is an heirloom, it might be because sometimes heirlooms are just kind of funky like this. It doesn't seem to be diseased or have a fungus at all. So I don't know. I might end up just pulling them out. The new leaves on them are fine, and then these guys down here, which is like a whole new plant off of this branch here, they seem to be fine. So I don't know what's going on with that one. That one there is like the only one that I really have concerns about, and every day I come down and I think, should I pull it or not? And I obviously, if it does have a disease, I don't want it to spread to the other plants. So I'm keeping it very tightly pruned and making sure it has enough leaves on top to create the photosynthesis process. But I also don't want it to spread any diseases to anything by touching them. So I want to research that a little bit. I don't know if it's just, you know, some of these varieties that I have are kind of notorious for having kind of curly leaves or funky looking leaves. And so I just want to keep an eye on it. The other ones next to it are doing fine. So I don't know. It just could be a fluke. It's been like that from the start. So who knows? So then next are these guys. And these are the beefsteaks. And these are the ones that are blowing me out of the water, but they're also causing me lots of problems with the trellising. So these beefsteaks are Cherokee Purple tomatoes, and they're a semi-bush from what I read. And I grew them my first year growing tomatoes, and I had a couple tomatoes on it, and that was it, and they were good. And I ended up ordering some more just to try them, and holy buckets. You guys, let me show you what we are dealing with here, and then let me explain the problem that we're having. So this is the tomato plant. It is about 4 feet tall, 4.5 feet tall. And do you see all these tomatoes on it? And Beck wants to show in comparison to his baseball that this one here is probably twice the size of his baseball. This one is probably the size of a baseball. It's wider than a baseball, but not as thick as a baseball. And
this one's about the same exact size.
That one right there is about the size of a baseball. And then it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then if you go up here, it's got more blossoms and everything. And then look at this guy over here. And then let's look at this guy.
Whoa, this one's 3 in 1.
Isn't that crazy? That guy has tons there. That's not as pruned. And then over here, we kind of skipped this one over. But do you see all those tomatoes? So those are all large, giant tomatoes on one fairly small plant. They go just above my hip. So they're 4-ish feet. The smallest one I'd say is over 3 feet, not 4. The tallest one here is probably about 4.5 feet. That is a lot of weight for a small plant. And so it is actually pulling really hard because they're heavy. They're very heavy on this wire. And so then it's lowering the wire for all the other plants. So then that really messes up my trellising. So we're going to come through in a little bit here and fix these. And we'll film that and explain more in detail what we're doing for that. But man, those guys are absolutely crazy. So then next in line we have the solar flare, and those guys are looking pretty cool. They're all sorts of different colors. It looks like they're gonna be, I think that those will be like yellow and orange striped almost. And they're doing great. I only have 1, 2, 3 plants of those. That's okay. I don't need extra tomatoes. And then next we have the Brad's Atomic Grape. And just like in years past, they are heavy producers as well. So I obviously need to come in here and weed, but look at these guys. There are Brad's Atomic Grape tomatoes everywhere. I'm not sure if you can see those there. And some of these are just starting to ripen, so we are looking forward to that. These guys have the more teardrop shape on them. It's crazy how different each tomato is, and each branch is, or each cluster of tomatoes is.
This one holds a lot.
Yeah, this one has tons. And then these guys get more shade, so these guys aren't nearly as purple. But you can see here they're starting to turn, they're getting a little softer. So I'm watching these. These were the first ones to produce. And these 2 tomatoes here will probably be the first ones to ripen down here. So you can see how these guys are really leaning. When I get those, that's because of those beefsteaks that are down there. So when I get those beefsteaks fixed, it'll actually pick this whole plant up. And then it'll be standing up again. So that'll be great. So I have 12 Brad's Atomic Grape in this row. And we are definitely going to have lots of Brad's Atomic Grape tomatoes. We will probably sell some of them at our roadside stand or give lots away. I kind of knew that we'd have lots, but we love to come down and eat these guys fresh. So I wanted to make sure that the ones that we like to eat, we have a lot of. And I love sharing with people, so we'll just go ahead and do that. Now, on to the berries crazy cherry. Guys, these are even crazier than last year. And I don't know what I'm going to do with all these tomatoes if all these blossoms produce, because it is crazy. I know why they call it berries crazy cherry, because they are definitely crazy. So this is one of the plants. You can see all these blossoms on it. It is further behind than the other plants. You can see that we're getting tomatoes on it, but it is a slower producing plant. I planted these guys and the Brad's Atomic Grape at the same time. The Brad's Atomic Grape are definitely further ahead, but if memory serves me correct from last year, it took Brad's Atomic Grape forever to ripen, where these guys ripened a lot faster. So I don't know, we'll see. So then here's a cluster that is a lot further along. And then I can't wait to show you that one. I'm gonna go to the other side and show that to you. Here's a cluster. I think this is gonna be the first cluster that's ripened. But you can see all those tomatoes in there. And then, I don't know if you can make them all out. There we go. They're all just starting to pop. So these guys should be being able to harvest pretty soon, I would think. And you just see clusters of flowers everywhere in here. Let me go over and show you that guy, because it is all blossoms. There's hardly any leaves on it. Just enough probably to complete the photosynthesis process. So let me show you that one. So look at all these blossoms on here. There's thousands on this plant. I'm just so blown away at how many are on here. Even back there. And then over here, this guy has a whole bunch of tomatoes on it too. There you can see how the clusters look when they get the tomatoes. And then the Supersweet 100, you can see are very prolific as well. So this is the only hybrid tomato that we have in here. And I'm thrilled with the uniformity of them all. And there's no surprises. They're growing exactly how they should be. So I'm very happy with all of those.
I'm exactly 5 foot.
You're exactly 5 foot? Okay, show me. So he's gonna show you how tall these plants are. And they look like they're might be even taller than you.
It's not supposed to happen.
What?
It's not supposed to happen.
Well, it is gonna happen. Sorry. So they are definitely doing great. So this row is like the mix of everything. And we definitely have lots of tomatoes mixed in there. I have been trying to keep up. I usually start when I'm pruning and trellising and weeding and everything. I usually am on those 2 big rows. And then these guys kind of get the short end of the stick here. So you can see they're leaning a lot more. They definitely need help being trellised more. They're kind of, lots of times I'll come in and a plant that I haven't trellised will have fallen down, or like this guy definitely leaning. But I know a lot of people don't trellis, and I know a lot of people don't prune. So it's really not gonna hurt them too much. My concern is that because it's such high humidity in here, that we're gonna start having an issue with blight or fungal diseases. So I'm trying to stay on top of it as much as I can. These guys just kind of were slower growing for a bit, and so I am not used to coming down and working on them as much, and I need to start taking turns and coming down and doing like one row at a time or something like that. So down here at the very end, you can see these guys were like the teeny tiny ones that I didn't want to throw away. They're doing great. I mean, they're all at least waist high except for those few right here. But then here are those extra peppers that we had. These were the 6 peppers that were left over from the sale. These darker ones are the King of the North Bell, and then these guys are the I think Cherokee Bell. Oh no, the lighter are the King of the North Bell, and these ones are the Cherokee Bell. And there is a definite difference between the size and the coloring. They're doing great though. They have blossoms. I heavily pruned these guys when I planted them, and I did pinch off the tops a lot. So they are now just really starting to produce, but you can see that there are lots of blossoms in there, and they're doing good. They're nice and bushy. And then just beyond that are our loofah gourds, and they are doing awesome. I need to weed in here because you can see we're starting to get some powdery mildew and some, who knows what that is going on. And now that the stone coop has a new floorboard, I can take and put these guys back so that these can actually trellis up. But man, they're getting tall. So I think that that is going to be what is going to be the blossoms on them. Tendril skills on these guys are kind of crazy. I can see them suffocating their own little plants and killing their own because their tendrils are absolutely obnoxious. But this is a fast growing vine. So now over here in the melon area, we have lots of melons, and these guys are going crazy. I'm gonna have to come through and start pruning some of these. Otherwise, we are not gonna have enough room. I kind of figured that, but you know, early in the spring, you do forget, at least I forget, on the spacing. But let me show you this. This is really exciting. You see that guy? And then there's little tiny watermelon. Oh, this guy doesn't have one. I might come back and prune this after this video is over. And there's another one. And there were other ones. There we go. Just kind of everywhere in here. There's a little tiny one down there. I see right in there, there's a little tiny one. We loved having melon last year. That was just a highlight for us. And it was kind of something that we don't have fresh watermelon in our area until late in the summer. So for us to be able to grow our own was very exciting, and it was just wonderful. So for us to be able to grow a whole bunch, and so far successfully, very exciting. This guy here, I don't have a clue if this is a cucumber or if this is a cantaloupe. I think it is, because those guys are pretty, let me flip this. These guys here are pretty fuzzy. And so I am thinking that this is a cantaloupe because their little fruit started off pretty fuzzy. I hope that I didn't mess up the tagging. These were the extras, so I'm hoping that that is what it is and that it is not a cucumber, because this, in the back of my mind, it looks like it was a cucumber the other day, and who knows. I am really hoping it is not a cucumber. Its leaves just look different. It does look like the little tiny cantaloupe from over there, but those leaves do look almost the same as cucumbers. So I'm not quite sure, but I think that that's what it is. I don't know. So then I have 2 different types of watermelon over here, and honeydew and cantaloupe, and I have 2 different, maybe 3 different kinds of cantaloupe. These were just the late germinators that weren't big enough to sell, or the ones that were left over from our sale. We only had a handful. The cucumbers and the melon were very, very late in germinating this year, and so I don't know. I don't know if it was our goofy weather or what, but that's what these guys are. And so anything I get out of these is just a bonus. And all of this from like here to there is new growth, just probably in the last 24 hours, maybe not even. And can you see all those things going up? All the little tendrils or branches going up? That is all new. It was not like that at 6 this morning when I was down here weeding. And so they are growing by leaps and bounds. And here we have a little melon that looks like a chipmunk or something ate it. Very disappointing. I'm gonna cut that off. But they're looking nice and healthy. I don't see any cucumber beetle evidence, but if this is a watermelon, they're not gonna have cucumber beetles. Cucumber beetles don't like watermelon, so that would explain why I don't see any evidence of cucumber beetles on them. So I'm guessing that this little guy was a chipmunk or something that ate it. Oh yeah, you can see little tiny teeth marks. There, can you see the little tiny teeth marks? We do have a chipmunk that I see in here quite often, so I'm guessing it's that. And then here are our peppers, our bell peppers. Oh, I forgot to show you our serranos. So these guys are about knee high on me, and they are looking great. And you can see we have some peppers. We've been picking peppers now for quite a while, just one every now and then. With the peppers back there, I was taking and pinching off a lot of blossoms and tops because I wanted a super healthy plant that was going to produce a lot instead of a small plant that was going to produce 1 or 2 peppers over the course of the season. So I have strategically been pinching off buds and tops of the small ones, and now everything seems to be doing wonderful. The cement guy that was in here this morning, he was amazed at how big they are because his are a lot smaller and they're just starting to get buds. So the fact that I am harvesting peppers, and quite a few peppers, is wonderful. This high tunnel is just amazing. So these guys here are all the green bell peppers, and then here are, starting here, are the lunchbox peppers, and they are all down there. Now these are a variety of different lunchbox peppers. We have gypsy peppers and red lunchbox peppers. And now that they're getting nice and big, I think I can point out that like the smaller ones are the red ones, the larger ones are the gypsy ones, and smaller ones are the red, larger are the gypsy. I don't know if that's correct because I just labeled them all lunchbox, but the gypsy peppers are bigger than the red. And so I'm thinking that the red peppers are smaller, and I'm thinking that the plant is smaller as well. But I want to show you how many buds are on these because it is crazy. I want to learn more about the proper way to pinch off the tops and the buds in the early stages. But so I probably did a lot of this wrong, but I'm not going to learn unless I try. So let me show you. I'm really happy with how they've turned out. So on this guy here, you can see, I mean, it is dense. And you can see on the end of every little branch, there are blossoms ready to go there. And they are all over. And this one is a little further along. And you can see that there's peppers that are starting on that one. This guy here has some that are flowering. So they are doing great. I have not had really any issues. I thought that they would be kind of the finicky plant for the year, but I've just been watching a few YouTube videos every now and then on pepper growing. So I turn off the water for this row probably every other time I water. With it being so sandy in here, we do have to water a lot more than probably most people do, but they are doing great. I try to not water quite as often as I do everything else, but they're seeming to like it. So I notice when they start looking droopy is when I try to make sure that they definitely get a nice deep soaking. And then last, the serrano peppers, the hot peppers. Now I have been busy in here putting the netting up and trying to get everything trellised and everything. So, and then all of this stuff actually goes in the stone coop. I'm gonna put some nice storage stuff in there. So we're shifting everything around at this moment. And I'm hoping that when my parents come out sometime, I think they're coming out tomorrow and Thursday, but I'm hoping that we can get all this put back in there and then get this all cleaned up again. That would be wonderful. But let me show you these serrano peppers. They are about waist high on me. And we have serrano peppers galore and blossoms galore. The problem we're gonna have is that the cucumbers keep vining over, like right here, onto the peppers. Now I read that melon and cucumbers were a good companion crop to peppers, but I'm wondering if cucumbers actually are, because I'm worried that they're gonna kind of choke out some of these plants. Now there's no way that I need this many serrano peppers. Some of these were 4-packs left over from the sale, and I felt guilty for throwing them away, so I just planted them. We'll make lots of salsa this summer, and so a lot of these will go to that, but I definitely don't need this many. So we'll see. But I am wondering if cucumbers are not appropriate for companion planting with peppers. That is something that I should look into a little more. But you can see the little tiny blossoms starting pretty much everywhere on these, and then we have been harvesting quite a few, and I've been giving a lot away as well. There's a pepper, and then here on the larger plants there are peppers. Realistically, one serrano plant is probably enough, but it is what it is. I wasn't sure. This is our first time growing any type of hot pepper, so you know, I wasn't sure if we'd have a good germination rate. I wasn't sure if lots of the plants would sell at the sale, so it was just an experiment, and I'm happy they're doing so well. It's kind of weird for things to be going so well. I kind of expect, okay, between bad germination and Katie not knowing what she's gonna do, like 50% are gonna die. So this is kind of weird that everything is working so well. But as you can see, High Tunnel is going great. This garden is going amazing. I'm very glad we used the alfalfa pellets and the potting soil. It's not potting soil, it's Pro Mix dirt, whatever it is that I used in here, because I think that is helping everything have a good foundation and getting rooted well. And then having the drip irrigation going in here this year is definitely a huge help. So I am learning from previous years, and it seems to be, if I can just take one or two things from each year to improve, every year our garden is going to be better and better. And it kind of needed. You know, you have a couple rough years, and things going well is odd to me, but I'm grateful for it, and I'm going to use it as a learning experience and try to learn as much as I can while things are going well. That is it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you next time.